Hey guys, in today's video I'll be showing you the must-have weapons slash spells slash staffs you need to have if you are a spellblade slash caster in Elden Ring. All of these weapons and spells can be accessed before you fight the first main story boss of the game and can be encountered early game. If this helps you out, subscribing is always appreciated. I also have a Discord server in the description if you're interested in joining. Let's get into the video. The first item on the checklist is going to be the Meteorite Staff. From the first step grace, you're going to want to make a right, and there's actually going to be a big lake. Now, fair warning, this lake will have a dragon wandering mini-boss that is going to be available to kill, but we're not going to be fighting him in this video. We're just going to be going to the Dragon Burnt Ruins if you follow me on screen, and going down this little tunnel. From here, we're going to open up a chest which will actually teleport us to another area, which will bring us to where we're going to get our Meteorite Staff on screen. This staff is going to be particularly great because it is going to have an S scaling in intelligence, which means when you upgrade your intelligence, your staff will be doing far more damage than a staff that has a C scaling in intelligence, which most starting mages and prisoners will have. Another major warning is that if you're going to come here when you are low level, these people will most likely one-shot you, so do your best to avoid the enemies and just follow where I'm going on screen, because after we leave this cave, we're going to be a lot closer to the Meteorite Staff, and it's going to be a straight shot there. From the map, we will be heading to this ruin-like structure that you can follow along to. When coming here, you actually don't need a horse. You can actually just walk on foot. I'm just using a horse to get there quicker, but you can always get here literally from when you start the game. Just continue to follow the shoreline until you see these ruins that are going to be up ahead, and that is where we're going to get our Meteorite Staff. When we walk there, fair warning, there's going to be some people inside that will poison you, but you can actually get the Meteorite Staff if you walk across. You walk along this edge and you go behind the building. That body is going to have our staff, and we can get it without having to even interact with the enemies inside. Now don't warp out of here just yet, because inside of this village there will also be a spell that we will be able to get called Sling. Sling and Meteorite Staff is going to be synergizing very well, because our Meteorite Staff has a perk that boosts Meteorite sorceries and gravity sorceries. What this means is, since Sling is a gravity sorcery, it will be boosted by our Meteorite Staff, and because our Meteorite Staff has an S scaling in intelligence, you can see why this is going to do a lot of damage in the early game. Sling combined with the Meteorite Staff alone will probably carry you for a good amount of the early game. This combination will hit enemies for a lot, especially in the beginning areas, and will definitely trivialize some bosses. Not only does it have good tracking, but it also comes in 3, so it can actually stagger people very easily. Overall, this is a must-have if you're a Spellblade. This comes very early in the game, and you can get these two literally right as you start the game. The next item on our list is actually going to be very close to us. It's going to be the Ash of War called Gravitas. Now, if you go to the first step grace again, we can follow the path that I show on screen here, and it's actually going to be behind the building that you come out of when you get to the first step grace. It's not that far. It's honestly pretty close. It's within walking distance. You can probably get here in like 5 minutes. And when you get here, there's actually going to be a little shortcut. You can jump down. For people who didn't know, if you see those big storm jumps, you can actually jump down there, and if you land inside of the circle, you'll actually take no fall damage. However, that will only work if you have the horse already. If you don't, there's still another way you can get down here if you follow me on screen. It's going to be west, and we're going to be heading to the waterfall that's at the edge of this cliff. And if we actually go to the pillar that is sticking out, there will be a waterfall, and if we turn behind us and go to the pillar that is sticking out, run towards the pillar and jump early. If you do it correctly, like I do on screen here, you will miss the first platform and jump down to the second one below it, and you'll actually land here. From here you can roll off, and you will live these falls, followed by the second roll off, and we will get to the enemy at the bottom without torrent. Simply slaying this enemy will give you his Ash of War Gravitas. This Ash of War is really good in particular for Spellblades because it will give your weapon intelligence scaling, although it will drop the other base scalings down by a letter or two. But the intelligence scaling will help a lot. Not only will you have the skill Gravitas where you can pull people inward towards you so you can get some combos off of your spells or combo them into your weapons, but it will also be giving your weapon that magic scaling and magic damage onto it, which will be giving you a pretty reliable source of damage and scaling as you play throughout the game, because you will be having magic scaling on your main weapons. Overall, great skill that you can get early game that is versatile, that you can put on many different weapons. The next place I will be showing you guys how to get to is to Sorceress Sellen. She's going to be, again, coming off of the first step Grace. If you follow my pathing along here, she's not going to be very far from when you first get out, again, of this tutorial area. When you go to her location, she will be guarded by a boss, so just be mindful of that. The boss isn't particularly hard, it's those Pumpkinhead Knights. If you've seen them before, you're going to know what to expect. Just slay him and you'll be able to get to the Sorcerer to get more spells. Now, a lot of these spells, to be honest, aren't huge upgrades, but the main one that we're looking at is the magic armament spell. What this spell will basically do is enchant your weapon with magic damage. Say for example you're using a great axe. If you use magic armament on it, now you're going to have a great axe that's going to be scaling off of intelligence and strength. The spell will be great for the unique weapons found in the game that you can't switch the Ash of War on, because you'll be able to buff it with your spell instead. Overall, this spell alone, to come here to get it, I highly recommend it. She also has Glintstone Pebble as well and Glintstone Arc for the prisoner classes and the other classes who didn't start with that, because the Scholar is the only one who starts with that skill. Overall, really good spell buff to have on your weapon. It will increase your damage greatly, and it's only going to keep going up the more you pump into intelligence and your main attacking stat respectively. The next weapon I'll be showing today is the Rosus Axe. It is going to be a strength and intelligence weapon. You're going to want to head north into Liurnia, and the Artist's Shack Grace is where I'll be starting from. You can find it easily as long as you keep heading straight north, and you do not have to beat Godric to get here. You can come here without beating the first main story boss of the game. Following from the Artist's Shack, we're going to be going north into the Black Hand Catacombs. You will need 2 Stone Sword keys to get to access to this item. You can get 2 easily if you go to the Abandoned Shack Grace in the bottom left corner of the map, and there will be a merchant there that will sell Stone Sword keys for 2,000 runes each. He will be selling 3, so you can grab them pretty easily and come back here when you're ready. When you cross the rocky bridge, just keep heading straight north, and you're going to want to hug the right side to get a conveniently placed Grace. After that, keep heading straight north, hug the right side where the cliff is going to be to your right hand side, and you're going to be coming into this little valley where at the end of it will be the Black Hand Catacombs. Simply follow my path from the Grace. You're going to make a left, go down these stairs, and then you're going to make another left, where on your left when you're heading down the hallway is going to be the 2 Stone Sword statues that you're going to need to use your keys on. Rosus' Axe is going to have a D scaling in strength, E scaling in dexterity, and a D scaling in intelligence. I would say overall the axe is really good if you're looking for a nice alternative to the heavier types of weapons, where you just want a fast but still pretty strong strength offensive weapon on your right hand. The weapon art Rosus' summons will summon 3 skeletons that attack the person. Like, honestly, it's so fire. If you see a person that just summons skeletons on their weapon art, you should probably walk away, and this weapon will probably make your enemies walk away. Overall, very cool weapon. Highly recommended if you're a strength build looking for a faster alternative to your slower type class of weapons. The next weapon, and easily my favorite item on this list, is going to be the Moonveil Katana. We will be heading from the Smoldering Church Grace to the Gale Tunnel, which will be a dungeon. This is going to be a Dexterity Intelligence hybrid weapon that requires 12 Strength, 18 Dexterity, and 23 Intelligence to use effectively, and will scale nicely off both of those stats, having a C scaling in Dexterity and C scaling in Intelligence. The weapon will be found in the Caelid region, which will be east of Limgrave. It's not going to be too far from the first step Grace, to be honest. If you just head to the east, you will see the Smoldering Church Grace that I showed on the map. It won't be that far into Caelid, so you can use it as a starting point. Following the guide on screen, we're going to be heading down this set of ladders, and there's going to be a Grace at the bottom. which, by the way, if you see and look over the ledge, there's going to be these small little caves that you can go into, and they're going to have upgrade materials, so you're definitely going to want to check those out if you don't have them already. They're going to be pretty helpful to upgrade all these weapons that we're now getting. Starting from the grace at the bottom, we're going to be heading straight through and head down these set of stairs before we see this cave on the left. And from this cave on the left, we're going to keep heading straight forward until we see another grace, where we will be greeted by the boss fog on our right hand side. Boss is pretty tanky, and I would highly recommend using bleed weapons on him and bleed summons if you have any. These will definitely be helping out a lot. And after you kill him, he's going to drop the Moonveil Katana. This katana, in my opinion, has to be like top 5 coolest, best weapons. Like, god damn, it's just it's honestly so good. The weapon arts do a lot of damage to guards. They break guards very easily. In PvP, this thing will shred. I've easily been hitting people for 250 damage plus on my Spellblade build. Honestly, cannot recommend this weapon enough. This weapon is easily top 5 weapons for me at the moment, and can definitely carry you very far if you build it right. These next set of weapons will all be found very close together, so you can come here and just grab all these one and done. We're going to be starting from the Crystalline Woods Grace. You can actually come here from Liurnia, and if you look on the map, you can just ride through the swamp to get to this location. There's no bosses, nothing you have to fight. It's just a clean, straight ride through. You can also walk here if you want to come here before even getting Torrent. So you can walk here to the Crystalline Woods, and from this grace, we will be heading to the Road to Manor Grace. There will be an optional boss they can fight here, but if you don't feel ready to fight a boss, you can still get one weapon here. But if you want to fight the boss, we will be having access to 3 more spells and weapons to add to our arsenal. I also forgot to show this location in my gameplay, but there's going to be a grace if you kept going up ahead. It's called North Liurnia Shore, and that's where we'll be spawning from to get our next weapon. It's not that far from the King's Realm ruins, so we can just ride backwards if you didn't catch it, but that's where we're going to be spawning from. For the people who need this information, by the way, the grace that we're heading to, there's going to be a blacksmith that we can actually purchase Somber stones from. These Somber stones are used to upgrade our unique weapons that cannot have their Ash of War transferred. It's going to be really helpful to get these weapons upgraded without having to farm these materials in the world. So I highly recommend checking this place out, even if you don't want the weapons. The next weapon we'll be getting is going to be behind the King's Realm ruins. If you have North Liurnia Shore unlocked, you can just spawn there. If not, that's fine. You can just ride back from the King's Realm ruins. We will be heading backwards, and there's going to be 2 giants carrying a carriage, followed by a group of mobs behind them. We will have to kill one of the giants, but once we defeat a giant, the other one will stop moving, and from there we can mount the carriage and get the item inside, which will be the Carian Sword. The Carian Sword is going to have an ability called Carian Great Sword, where it turns into a beam of light that just shoots down, and the longer you charge it, the more powerful the weapon art is going to become. I would recommend this weapon to both Strength Intelligence and Dexterity Intelligence hybrids, because this weapon has an equal scaling in Dexterity, Strength, and Intelligence, all being D respectively. Nice weapon alternative to have more build diversity. I would honestly say to go grab it, even if you are a pure mage build, because the stat requirements are so low that you can actually use this weapon effectively, as it only requires 10 Strength, 10 Dexterity, and 18 Intelligence to use. The next set of weapons and items are going to be in the Carian Manor. If we went back to the previous grace that we got next to the blacksmith, we will head inside Carian Manor. From here you can follow along on screen, but the manor is actually not that big. However, there is a secret faith and intelligence weapon I will be showing on how to get. It's called Sword of Night and Flame. Not really included in the Spellblade list, but I figured since it's here I might as well show you guys. It's a very cool weapon from what I've seen when you can properly use it, and very strong. So if you are an intelligence faith hybrid, you're going to be benefiting greatly off this weapon. To show the location of the Sword Night and Flame, if you follow me right here and go on the left side, it's going to be a drop off on this bridge. If you make the jump and roll off, you climb down this ladder, and here will be your weapon, Sword of Night and Flame. This weapon is going to require 24 intelligence and 24 faith to use. It's a little pricey, but I guarantee you that this weapon is going to be worth it. To continue on our route to the boss, we're going to be heading straight and crossing these 2 bridges before making a left to climb the elevator to go and get our second grace. From here, if you follow along, there's going to be a golden seed that will be able to be used to increase the amount of flasks that you have to heal with. If we continue straight on, we're going to be coming up these flight of stairs, and if we make a left, there's going to be a giant knight there that we're actually going to want to kill. In this clip I pass him, but he's going to drop another intelligence weapon that I come back to kill him later for, so you might as well kill him now since you're here. He's going to be dropping the Troll Knight Greatsword. It is going to be an Ultra Greatsword, strength oriented. However, you can use it on a dex weapon, I've noticed. And this will be the boss fight. There is a statue of Marika directly behind you, so if you die, you don't need to worry, you will be spawned back here. She's not that difficult, although she does do a lot of magic spells, but as long as you have a couple of summons that you can use, try and take the fight slow. Use a shield if you have to, but eventually you will be able to defeat her. And after you defeat her, you will get the spell Loretta's Greatbow. For me, this spell has been pretty cool to use. I'd say it's mostly usable in PvE than PvP because the cast time can be a little lengthy, and when you start charging it, you will not be able to move anymore. But the arrow itself does a lot of damage, and it spreads in an AoE type of blast. I would recommend this spell if you are more of a long-range spellblade / caster. Slow on casting time, but it is definitely powerful when it hits. Finally, we will be collecting the last two items on today's list. The first is going to be called Frozen Armament. It's going to be dropped from one of the small dung beetles. It's going to be glowing white, which indicates that it's a Ash of War. Once you kill it, it's going to drop the Chilling Mist weapon art. Chilling Mist is actually going to apply intelligence scaling on your weapon as well, so you should definitely use it if you need more weapons that will scale with intelligence. Freeze in this game, by the way, I would highly recommend. I would say all the status elements are at an all-time high because all the status conditions, freeze, bleed, poison, etc., they've all been really good at doing burst damage, and poison been really good at doing damage over time. So I would honestly recommend picking this up as well because it's on the way to our last spell on the list. From my experience, the boss was not that difficult. I am level 45 while completing it. He does use a lot of gravity magic, but he will be dropping our spell for us, Meteorite, after this boss fight. Meteorite will spawn a black hole above you and shoot meteors out, and it shoots out more, so you can hold the cast button down and shoot out more meteors until your FP bar runs out. This is by far like top 3 coolest spells I've ever seen. Like just spawning a black hole, like, bruh, really. You can use it, it's very strong. It is inaccurate though, and it shoots out arbitrarily and at random, but if you go up to bigger, larger enemies that can't really avoid the damage, they will be getting hit by all the meteorites and the damage will be insane. Not to mention that because it's classified as a gravity sorcery, the Meteorite Staff will actually boost this sorcery's damage, and it's just like, oh my god. To show off the last weapon on today's list, for the people who did not kill the giant, is going to be the Troll Knight Greatsword. You're going to want to warp to Upper Manor, and you're going to want to run through the middle that we avoided earlier. And when we kill this giant here, it's not going to be that hard, to be honest. He's going to have some sorcerers on his left and right, but just take care of him, and he's going to be dropping his sword. The weapon will be having a 20 strength requirement, 14 dex requirement, and an 18 intelligence requirement, scaling with D in all those stats respectively. It seems to me like it's a strength oriented weapon, however I am using it on my dexterity intelligence build and it's been working fine for me so far, so I would go as far to say as this is a quality intelligence weapon, meaning that any build can use it really as long as you hit the requirements. So you can be a strength intelligence or a dex intelligence and use this properly. I would compare its weapon art to Wrath of the Gods combined with a heavy charged R2 from an Ultra Greatsword. It's actually wild. The Shockwave does a good amount of damage. I've used it in PvP and PvE before, and it mostly knocks over and breaks enemies' guards instantly. It's actually insane. I would highly recommend getting this weapon. There's not a lot of Ultra Greatsword intelligence weapons, and this is one of the few that I actually would consider to be very good and viable on both strength intelligence and dex intelligence builds. Now you are more than equipped to fight any challenges that the Lands Between has to offer to you in Elden Ring. Whether you be a strength intelligence, dex intelligence, a pure caster, any of these spells are going to help you out on your journey. Let me know in the comments which of these weapons were your favorite on the list. Mine was definitely the Moonveil Katana. That is just so cool. I hope this video helped you. I sincerely wish you a great day. and I thank you for watching so much. Peace, love, and light.